Hello and welcome to our Zombie Wars series. In this episode, we are going to implement simple shop for the game so the player can spend the money that it collects and buy power-ups. Let's get going. Okay, so to implement power-ups in the shop, we need to have stats that we can improve. And I think that for our player, speed, health, and damage are good stats to have in this kind of game. So I want to put all the stats on different event sheets. So all of our logic will stay cleaner. So first, let's create new event sheet. And well, let's call it stats. And here, let's create 4 global variables. First one is health. And well, let's put the initial value to 3. Then the other one is max health, and that can be 3 also. Then speed, and well, we currently move at the speed of 200, so let's keep it the initial value at 200. And finally, let's add damage, and it can be 1. Oh, and one final thing we want to add is money, and well, it can be 0. So currently we have the money in this event sheet right here, the money amount, but I think it's better to have here with everything else so it doesn't get mixed up with anything. But yeah, now that we have this, we have to do a little bit of refactoring of our logic. Like for example, we have to change the health from the player's where's our player here, from the player's instance variables to use this global variable. Then of course we need to set the damage also when we hit the enemy, that we subtract their health by the amount of this damage and not by 1 that is currently have. And we want to change the money to use this one rather than the one in the event sheet 1. So to refactor the health, it's easy to do by pressing Ctrl F to use the find. And the thing that we need to change is the SPR underscore player.hp, and we can press find, and we have 2 places that we have the player.hp written, and the first one is right over here in the handle damage taken. We can double click it to open it, and we just change this to be health and press done. And the other one is, yeah, it's on the start of layout. We set the health text to the SPR underscore player.hp, and here again we're going to use the health variable. And now there isn't any other except one. It's right over here where we subtract from the HP of the player. But here again we don't want to use the instance variable. We want rather use this subtract from health, and the value is 1, and press done. And now we have refactored all of the health events, and now we can actually delete delete this. Oh, there's still one reference. And oh yeah, there we check that the HP is less than 0. So let's change that also to use not the player's HP, but here the health is less or equal than 0. Okay. And now we should be able to delete it. Yeah, looks like it. And with that, we can try to play the game. And it should work just like before. And looks like everything is fine. Well, next, let's change the damage calculation for the enemies. And I think it's only in one place, which is the enemies on collision with the bullets. And here we subtract 1 from the HP, but here we want to subtract the damage value. Here we press done. And just to make sure that there isn't any other we need to take care of, and looks like that everything is fine for that. And finally, we need to change the money. And again, we can go back here and press Ctrl F and write money amount. And here we have, well, the first one, of course, it's the global variable. Then the next one is right over here. So we set the money amount text to the money amount. While here we're just going to change it to money. Then the next one is, oh yeah, we set the money randomizer value to the money amount. But again, we want to use money in this case. Then that's changed. Again, here is again the money amount. We change it to money. And yeah, that's everything. So we can now delete this. And that's all the refactoring that we need to do. And next, to do the shop, we need to make icons for all of the power-ups that we are going to sell in the shop. And we can draw it quickly in the Piskel. I have here the last episode's hard still. But yeah, let's draw them quickly and then resume the episode. Okay, now that we have all 3 of the icons, we can export them out from here. And then let's go back to the game. And now let's create new layout where we are going to put the shop. And we want to add event sheet also. For the layout, let's call it shop level. And the event sheet that we created, let's call it, well, shop. And well, let's rename the other layout also. I think I'm going to call it overworld. And overworld level, and for the event sheet I'm going to call it overworld with big O or uppercase O. And now for the shop, let's add the background layer. Then let's rename that to game layer. And finally, let's add the UI layer on top. And so that we get the health and the money amount, we want to go back to the overworld level, check the UI level and make it global. So now that it's global, and if we have in the other level this layer with the same name, we get everything that's on that layout also. But for the UI or the shop, I want to create one more layer, and it's called shop UI. And it's something that we'll only have in shop and not anywhere else. So let's add the power-ups around there, and we can put the grid on so we can put them better over there. And next, we want to have small info text of what these power-ups are. And well, we can just create a new text object and call it txt underscore, well, health info. And we can put it right over there. Let's make it 4 grids wide. Then change the name to health +1. And let's use the same font that we have used before, make it bold, and center both alignments. And with that we have small info text what this power up is. And now to copy it to the others, we have, first we need to rename these. Strength power up, and this is health power up, and this one will be speed power up. And yeah, here is our health info. We can just clone this and put it on top of the strength power up. Let's rename that to strength info, and change the text to be strength +1. And then again we do it once more for the speed power up. Speed info with lowercase s. Then we just put it over here, and let's do it speed +10. Okay, now we have the info text, and actually one thing I forgot to do is to get the shop UI to be active, but we can just change them right here from the properties window. And next we want to show the player that how much these cost, and I'm going to do it in the same way as the info text. So I'm just going to clone this strength info because it already has the font and correct size and all of that. I'm going to rename it strength cost and put it right under here and change it to, well, let's say strength is 150 euros, dollars, whatever we have as a currency. And then we just can clone it, rename it to health cost with lowercase h and put it right there. And I think health can be 100. Then finally, once more clone this, rename it to be speed cost and put it right over there. Speed can be 100 also. Okay, now we have the power-ups, and next we want to put our player over here. Let's find it. It's right over here, and of course the rifle needs to be here for the player to work properly. And now if we run the game, you can see that our player doesn't work correctly like it should. Like it doesn't turn towards the mouse and the rifle is at the hand of the player. And the reason is that because right here we have the event sheet called shop, and if we open that, there's nothing. But we could do right here that we include not the stats. We don't need to include that because there's only global variables. That's wrong. Include event sheet overworld, and we would have everything that we have right over here. But I'm not sure if I want to have all the enemies logic in the shop level also, because I'm sure that I won't have any zombies right here. So the other thing we could do is to make a new event sheet, and let's call it global mechanics. And right over here we will put everything that will have to be in every single level, and then include this to every single level's event sheet. So for example, from the overworld, this is something that we want to have in the shop also, as it will move the player properly. So we can just take it and put it right here. And actually the other thing that I really want to have is this on start of layout events, as we set the UI at the start of the layout. So that will also be in the global mechanics. Now we could put the shooting right in here, but I don't really want the player to be able to shoot inside the shop. So I'm just going to keep these two here. And then we go to the overworld event sheet, we include the global mechanics, and then we go to the shop and include it again right over here. And now if we play the game, the player works just fine. But of course nothing happens on the power-ups yet, so we need to do the logic for them. And we are going to do it right here on the shop event sheet. And well, let's do it first for the health power-up. So what we need to do is first to make an action where the player is on collision with the health power-up, and we press done. And of course, when we touch the power-up, we want to increase our max health, and I think it might be fine to heal the player at the same time, so the health will be the same as the max health. So we can do those. We got system. We add to max health to 1. And then we set the health to be max health. And now we press done, and if we try to do it, well, nothing really happens because we need to update the UI also. So we do it here that we set to the health amount, set text, and we set health. We press done. Now if we try to work on the health, it should increase by 1 every time. Yep. And then, well, let's do it like when we pick up the power up, we destroy it, then we wait a little bit, and then it will reappear. And we can do it by, well, first we go to the health power up and call the destroy. Or actually, let's not do it that way. Let's do it that we set collisions disabled. Then we set the health power ups opacity to 0, which is transparent. Then we wait, well, let's say 2 seconds. Then we set the opacity back to 100 and enable the collisions back. So now it should have the effect that it will disappear and come back after we buy it. And looks like it, and we can't touch it while it's transparent. So we could do the same with deleting the object or destroying the object and creating it back, but I think this is better for the computer because we don't have to be always destroying and creating new objects, that we just use the same one again. Okay, now we have that. Next, of course, we need to decrease the amount of money we have when we buy that power up. And I think I want to put the power ups cost here in the stats also. So we create new global variable. Let's call it health cost. And it was 100. Then we go back here. And next, well, we add a new action, and of course we subtract from the money the amount of the health cost. And I think I want to do it the first thing. And yeah, and one more thing I want to add to this is that every time player buys something, the cost will go up. And we can do it by just taking the health cost and multiplying it, well, maybe like 1.5. So again, we go to system and we set the value of the health cost to be health cost times 1.5. Now we press done, and let's do it before disabling the power up. And of course we need to update the cost, which is here, the health cost. We set the text to be the value in health cost variable. And we do it right over here. So if we try to do it now, we can see that it will be 150 gold next time. And again 225. And it will go up and up all the time. Like that. But maybe 1.2 could be better, so it won't get into decimals at all. Oh, it will. Well, let's keep it on 1.5. Oh, we can do it just with the floor function to keep it away, keep it from going to the decimals and being the full number all the time. So if we try it again, we have 150, 225, and 337, and it won't go to the decimals anymore. Yep, and that's basically everything for the picking up the health, except we need to add one more check, that if we have enough money to buy it. And we can do it just by making a new condition where we compare two values. The first value is the money, and it's greater or equal than the health cost. And we press done, and it should work. But one more final thing. We need to add a system on start of layouts, and here we want to add or update the health cost text. So we can just copy that and put it right over here. As if we come back later and we have already bought power-ups earlier, so the health cost will be different than the one we set manually right here. So we want to set it to be the correct one at the start of the layout. And that's basically everything for the power up, or the health power up. And we need to do the same thing for the other two also, for the speed and the strength. But I think I will leave it for you to do on your own. In the next episode, I'll show you my logic and how I did, if there was any problems. But I don't think there shouldn't be anything too difficult here. So in the next episode, we check that and do some level transitions between the overworld and the shop. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you again in the next episode.